welcome to Project Blueberry's second show for this year. Juniors and seniors at Minnechaug Regional High School are taking square dancing as part of their dancing curricula in physical education. Students of any age can take dancing lessons through private teachers in the community. Mrs. Adeline Johnson is one of those teachers, and she teaches ballet. In fact, over 10 years ago, I took ballet from her. Now she's still teaching with the same vitality and energy that she was many years ago, and few people can match the years of dedication and energy she's put into her dancing career.
Miss Adeline Johnson is now teaching ballet to a second generation of children. Her former students now send their daughters to Mrs. Johnson for ballet lessons. She has had many experiences in her talented life which she was willing to share with us.
Teacher.
What made you get interested in dancing?
Well, I always liked it, and then I happened to go to performance and see Anna Pavlova, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a toe dancer. And I decided that I wanted to do it. Well, it happened. There was a very good Russian dance teacher at the time that was giving lessons, and it must have been fate. I started to take lessons, and Anna Pavlova was the most famous dancer, Russian dancer at the time, and she was touring the United States, and this was in the late 1900s. Well, not say late 1900s, about 1915, 16. And she made all little girls wanted to do that. And so millions of little girls wore out bedposts and things hanging on, trying to be getting up on their, so they could wear these magic pink slippers. And in order to earn lessons, I didn't want to ask my father for the money, so I started to teach little girls in the attic in my house, and for 10 cents a lesson. And so that lasted for 1 year, and then the next year, some of the mothers liked what I was doing, and for several years I was just 10 lessons ahead of the children, because of course, as fast as I learned, I gave it to them. And the thing that saved me was that what the system that I had was so good, and results came quickly.
We heard that you were involved with the Rockettes and part of the Mark Show.
Well, that was just part of it. Up until then, I was the premier dancer in St. Louis. That's where I was born and raised. We have a big municipal opera, and every year the local girls took part, and so I was a dancer after a few years, and I danced there. And then I put on, we're great pageant people. I put on a lot of pageants. Then when I was 21, my mother died, and she was my accompanist, and it was very sad for me for a few years. So then I had a chance to go out with the Perry Mansfield dancers, concert dancers, and we toured the whole West Coast. And while I was there, this Mr. Markert, who owned the Rockettes, came to St. Louis and heard about me, and didn't know anything about ballet dancing. So he offered me the job to come to New York, and I did, and became his assistant, ballet assistant, and the captain of the troupe. And then after 10 weeks, these the original girls, oh, by the way, I also brought 16 girls from St. Louis to go in there, because I had a professional school out there, and they were put in the Marx Brothers show. And I did the choreography for the ballets. There were 3 ballets in there. And I got to know the Marx Brothers very well.
Did you enjoy working with them?
I liked them very much. They were lots of fun. And they were complete comedians. And the rehearsals were more interesting than the shows, because they did some of the craziest things. In fact, the first time I met them, I remember so well, George Kaufman and Silver, these famous people, when I introduced them, it was a late August afternoon, and they were sitting there, and Mr. Markert introduced me and said, "This is Miss Ratti." My name was Adeline Ratti. And they said, "Won't you have a seat?" So I started to sit down, and with that, one of them took the place, and before you know it, we were playing musical chairs, and I ended up on Harpo's lap. And that's the way it was, ridiculous all the time.
Mrs. Johnson, how long have you been teaching ballet?
About 50 years, as a dancer and as a teacher.
What made you come to Wilbraham to start teaching?
Well, after a few years, I happened to meet the right man, and I was getting a little tired of New York, and we came to Springfield. He was traveling, and we came to Springfield. We didn't want to go to a big city. We wanted to go to a medium city. And so I retired from all dancing in 1934. And then after that year, some of the neighbors heard that I'd been a teacher and wanted me to start classes, which I did at Trinity Church. And then one of the people had a friend who lived in Wilbraham, and she enticed me to come out here. And I've been out here since 1937. And here I am teaching second generation, and that's it.
Now, what do you think is the most important points about dancing that you tell your girls?
That I tell my girls?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's the most important thing. I happen to, of course, be a ballet buff because it is the most exact form of bodily movement. You never get to the end of it. And the fact that it was invented in the first ballet people in the late 1500s, it's early 1600s, it's amazing that they knew so much about the body. And it's so right. It does such beautiful things to the body.
Here are four of Mrs. Johnson's senior members of her Children's Dance Theater of Wilbraham. The four girls helped teach the younger members of Mrs. Johnson's ballet classes.
Sherry Levine, Suzanne Wisniewski, Rose Garibian, and Bonnie Gress. Sherry, how long have you been taking ballet from Mrs. Johnson?
For 12 years.
And do you enjoy it?
Very much so.
Does she inspire you to keep dancing a lot?
Yes.
And Suzanne, what about you?
9 years.
9 years?
And I love it.
You do? How long do you practice each day?
About 2 hours.
Rose?
I've been taking ballet for 10 years, and I really like it a lot. And, yeah, she does inspire me a lot.
Bonnie?
I've been taking it for 10 years also, and I love it. It's a lot of fun.
And did any of your girls ever become professionals?
Oh, yes, quite a few. I had 3 or 4. 2 of them were in the Follies, and quite a few of them were in the big Broadway shows. And then several of them were in the ballets. Some of them were in the music hall ballet, and more became teachers. And so it's a tough life because you really have to devote your whole life to it. You have to be absolutely dedicated.
Ballet is an art, and Mrs. Johnson has displayed it in her past and is now contributing it to the lives of many girls. She has showed us the advantages and beauty of ballet in her exciting career. Her cooperation and patience helped greatly in the production of our segment. We would like to thank her very much.